On the outside, perhaps, of Paul Uric, and Mazdu's looking to the inside of the Boutelet. Cars getting very close contact there between Hensei and Badima at the head of the field. Estevez there having an awful time, I think, spinning down at the at T4 there at the back of the pack, so bad to worse for him. But meanwhile, in the mid-pack, it is everyone for themselves. Contact again, I think, this time between Darush and Dramont. These guys are fighting for their lives whilst racing each other out there. Horrible conditions to drive in these, but this really shows the talent of these drivers and shows the strengths and weaknesses of the cars too, as Dramont just struggles to get the throttle there. Alan the Super Fenton hangs on in third for now.
You can throw a blanket over these drivers, they're so close to one another. From third place back, Badima, meanwhile, has pulled out a 1.3 second advantage over Hensei on this first lap. Then the cork in the bottle is Daniel Fenton at the moment, the Mercedes driver who we ride on board with, and we're not even at the end of the first lap. Out of the final corner we go then. Is anybody going to think about a lunge in towards turn 1? You'll be brave if you think about doing that, because it could leave you under threat in towards turn 3. Dramont, though, decides that discretion is the better part of valour, looks for a half move up the inside, but eventually ducks back into the wheel tracks of the Mercedes. He's trying to line it up on the exit of turn 1 and into that braking zone of turn 3.
Yeah, that AMG is just a roadblock right now. No one can find a way around on board now with Paul Uric in that Mazda. Of course, highlighted by that rotary engine. Look in the mirror there in the bottom right-hand corner. You can just about see that BMW being pushing along. Paul Uric, Le Boutelet on the outside. They all try and break off line, just about managing to keep out of each other's way. Darush there, getting by Dramont. So Darush up into 4th place. Now Uric's following through as well. That Subaru really struggling on the straights there. Unfortunately, this is not a circuit. You want to have a car that's slow in a straight line.
Yes, left him under attack here from Le Boutelet. Oh, moves under braking there as Dramont leaves no room for his countryman. Le Boutelet's going to try and rough it around the outside. I don't think he had much choice in the matter, but he's turned it into an opportunity. He's got ahead of Dramont, and he's almost side by side with Uric. Just has to back out of it again on the exit of that corner and duck back into the wheel tracks. But that was very close and aggressive racing. Uric's a little bit wide. That's left the door open for Dramont to go through into 6th place or 5th place possibly, but no, not for now. Dramont just sits there in 6th position, but all the while they're squabbling. Look at what's happening in front. Badima, Hensei, all clearing off into the distance. They're nowhere to be seen.
It's hard to overstate how difficult this is. Just driving around in these conditions at this speed is impressive in itself. Whilst trying to race each other, this is where these guys earn their reputation. So the Boutelet now are focusing on him in the BMW P7 in the pack, and there's Dramont as well. A bit slow off the exit is Paul Uric. Dramont's now putting alongside Will. He has the legs to get by the Boutelet. He's going to push his fellow countryman through there, up into P5 and P6. Go BMW and Subaru. Up the inside goes Thomas the Boutelet. No, he thinks better of it for now. Still holding the place, but no, Paul Uric hanging on the outside somehow in that Mazda. Has to back out of it finally, but that was great to working together there by Le Boutelet and Dramont, but maybe the stewards will have a look at that.
It's allowed Serrano an opportunity to go through up into 7th place there, so Uric has just lost out a little bit whilst they were going side by side into that braking zone of turn 3. I tell you what, I wince every time we go into there, because it just takes one locked brake, and these drivers don't run ABS, so one snatch brake and you're going straight off to the scene of the crash.
I'm waiting for that one guy to just come flying across the inside of the picture there, out of control, wiping somebody out. Hopefully it won't happen, but of course it can happen. So still here onto lap 3 there. Badima and Hensei there, really not separated by much. Very, very quick in these wet conditions are the Ferrari and Hensei. 3.5 seconds back is Fenton. So these guys seemingly the ones to beat at the moment.
Lap times in the high 138s for the two leaders. We expect the crossover time, by the way, to go on to intermediate times, about 137 there and thereabouts. You can see Badima with that big old slide in that Ferrari 458 as he came through the right-hander. But that's the crossover time. Rain is still coming down as it stands for now, so just keep an eye on the weather conditions. If it starts to dry out, when the times get down into the 1 minute 37s, that's when we should see drivers thinking about boxing for inters.
Yeah, I'd love to take a look at the weather radar, of course a feature in Gran Turismo 7 to see sort of what's coming, what's happening there, but wipers still on for now. Rain is still falling for now, so we'll keep an eye on that and see if things get any better. But going to T1 again, Badima stretching his legs a little bit, the gap now up to 1.2 seconds, but it seems a little bit weak through T1. That's where Hensei comes back at him. There's a replay. Here's what happened here between Jose Serrano and Le Boutelet. We go down towards T4, heavy on the brakes, contact there. Oh, and off goes Serrano, he spins. Oh, what a shame there for Jose Serrano after such a strong showing at the Montreal round.
Yeah, a bit of a hand-fisted attempt there for the Spaniard, I'm afraid to say, as he went into the braking zone of turn 4. Le Boutelet Lebouslet will be right on board with him and Drumont, all out of shape there, and then contact spins round Drumont. Oh, Killian, what on earth is going on with your 2024 season? He made a mistake in the Nations Cup, if you remember, back in Montreal, and it goes from bad to worse for him. He must have walked under a stepladder or, I don't know, something along the lines of that, you know, to a black cat or something today, because it's just not working out at all.
I love to see a replay of that, but I think Lebouslet was quite heavily involved in that incident there, but we'll comment on that when we see more. For now, there you go, the stewards having a look at that. We have live stewards here at the event, straight into the action, straight into the investigation, and we'll get back to you as soon as we know more. But that does put, as you say, Killian Drumont at the back of the back, and Coquelin Lopez will be happy with that because he's gained enough of place out of it, but not moving forward. Someone who is moving forward is Estevez for Honda, up to P7 right now after starting from the back of the grid. So great racing so far for Estevez. Can he continue?
We have a look at the weather radar in our commentary box, and there's a little bit of a break in the weather we can see coming along the way in a few moments' time. So if that does start to ease off ever so slightly, we'll keep an eye on things and see what happens. There is Nico Romero driving for Genesis. As I mentioned earlier on, Genesis podium for them in the World Finals at the back end of 2023 in Barcelona. Can they repeat that feat over the course of this year? Just to remind you, as we now see the weather radar, you can see there heavy rain at the moment, but it is going to start to break a little bit later on in this one. So if that does happen, or when that does happen I should say, then we'll see drivers changing their strategy and thinking on the fly.
I love that we have that in the game. In real life, the weather radar is something you just don't like looking at, especially if you're in the grid. But anyway, here is a replay of what happened between Drumont and Lebouslet. So we're coming down to T4 there. A bit of contact on the way in. Is there something? No, he loses it on his own. No, he doesn't. He almost does. Yeah, and the contact there with Lebouslet just spins him around. But you can see all the way in. Really struggling with the rear of that Subaru, sorry. So I think that maybe that car just not quite the right car to be in these conditions, but still it'll do well to come back from this, Drumont, but back to the field for now.
Unfortunate there for Killian as he sits down at the back of the field in 12th position for now. There is Engse. Tell you what, he's keeping Bedima honest, actually, isn't he, over the course of this first few laps in both of their first races in the Gran Turismo World Series. They're driving like they've been here for a fair amount of time. You can see 4.2 seconds there and thereabouts over some parts of this lap that they put into Daniel Fenton, who sits in third place. You can see Lebouslet getting a 3-second penalty for that collision with Killian Drumont. Well, we wondered the stewards might have a look at it, and they have, and they've decided to hit Lebouslet with a 3-second penalty, which is going to drop him down to about 10th place there and thereabouts once he served it.
I mean, yeah, it was fair. He spun Drumont ended his race pretty much, so yeah, penalty there I think is fair in that situation. So meanwhile, in the mid-back, Paul Euro will be the first person to gain from Lebouslet's penalty. You can see that 3 seconds above the top of his car there. As it comes to the penalty zone, he'll be forced to brake for 3 seconds. So you lose a lot more than that in reality. And then, of course, the time getting back up to speed again is massive, especially given around here a lot of high-speed acceleration zones. But on board with Paul Euro, looking a little flustered, I think, at the moment. Not looking like he's very comfy. That Mazda proving difficult in these conditions so far. Almost collects the back of Lebouslet then, picks up his own penalty, but we've seen a lot of drivers doing that, just sort of being off the corner, trying to avoid too much rotation, trying to get all in one hit and accelerate in one straight line, so accelerating with a bit of lock on, because that's an easy way of just getting traction that way.
Just brought Estevez a little bit closer in that Honda there as well. That Honda's not been particularly fast actually so far this week, especially in these wet conditions. You can see Estevez struggling with the traction as he comes out of turn 4.
Estevez's lap time, so if you look at it, he's matching the leader pretty much at the moment, so he's really quick as Estevez, so keep an eye on him. We did say he'll come back through the field, didn't we? And here he comes now in that Honda in P7. I'd say the rear engine cars, the mid engine cars, having a bit of a better time at the moment than the front engine cars.
Oh, a snap of oversteer there for Euro as you saw him just coming through that right hander. Here's Lebouslet setting his penalty, moves off of the racing line. Such closing speed they have as Lebouslet is going to emerge about 7th place, a little bit higher up the order than I thought. Penco and Romero also under investigation for a collision as well. They're in 8th and 9th place, Romero and Penco respectively at the moment. Out of the final turn we go and across the timeline, so it's all pretty quiet on the western front as it stands for now, but it's going to bubble up a little bit later. Where are we at in terms of lap times? We're still in the low 138s at the moment, so we're not close enough for a changeover. The rain is still falling down, but at a lighter intensity than it was. Let's have a look and see if we can work out what happened here with Romero and Penco into turn 4, downhill on the braking, Penco on the inside, bit of contact there with Romero. I don't think that cost them too much, really.
That's all right. It's just racing that one. That's right. I say that, and the stewards are going to say it isn't that. Well, no further fraction. There you go. Finally, I've got one right. After all this time, it's taken 8 years. How long it's been? Oh, Lopez there, forgetting that it's the pedal on the left that slows you down. Well, we've got a clutch, I guess, but slows you down too. And back down to 12th place. He goes behind Kylian Drumont. Coque Lopez is struggling big time in that Lexus.
Yeah, I wonder if he's going to try and launch an attack immediately on Kylian Drumont and get himself ahead. Down into the braking zone we go. Closes right up on the back of the Subaru, and it's just not working out at all here for Coque Lopez. He doesn't look comfortable. Look at the way he's driving. Look at his driving position as well. He looks tense in his shoulders, doesn't he? You can see him fighting the car, scrabbling for grip and trying to find performance that just doesn't seem to be there for the Spaniard.
It's important in wet conditions to sort of let the car move a little bit. If you're trying to put in these really big aggressive inputs, that's when the car has the biggest issue. But it looks like he's sliding through this midsection here. So we have to hope, for Coque's sake anyway, the weather does line up a little bit. Again, our weather radar suggesting that the rain's still coming down pretty decently at the moment. So we've got a long way left in this race. Lap 8 of 28 as Badima comes across to start lap 8. And here is a replay there of Coque Lopez. So this is going to be quite scary on board if you're Coque Lopez. You hit the brake pedal. Nothing's happening. They've got to get out of the way. Oh, you can imagine just a feeling there of, am I about to wipe something out? No, okay, but I am now last.
Yeah, that would literally shot around his nose, wouldn't it? Unfortunate there for Coque Lopez, and just about managing to avoid contact into turn 3. Now Serrano versus Drumont. Drumont starting to come together in this race. 8th lap out of 28 we are on here in the Manufacturers' Cup Grand Final. Jura versus Estevez a bit further up the road. Estevez now finding that pace. He got ahead of Laboutele a couple of laps ago. Now his next target is going to be the Spaniard. So out of turn 3 and into turn 4 could be the opportunity that the Honda driver is looking for as he makes his recovery through the field following the difficult qualifying. Side by side we run. Estevez is going to be on the outside into the downhill braking zone. There's a bit of hip and shoulder and a bit of contact. That's going to run Estevez a little bit wide, but can he find traction on the exit of the corner to get ahead of Jura? Side by side they go through into the next left-hander. Estevez is going to have track position here if he can just firm it on the inside, but has he got the grip there to get ahead of Jura? No, Jura sweeps around the outside and holds on to 5th place.
What an impressive drive so far by Estevez. This guy started in P11 and is up to P6 and challenging Paul Jura in P5. I think he's got the pace to get by, but Paul Jura, very experienced in Gran Turismo 7, just putting the car in the right places right now, but the pace isn't there for him. It's just a matter of time, I think.
Drumont just losing a position there to Jose Serrano for 10th position as well. On board we ride here with Thomas Laboutele. Pole position for BMW back in Amsterdam. That'll seem like ever such a long time ago, though. There was a bit of contact, isn't there, going through that final corner. Estevez now under a bit of pressure. Meanwhile, Laboutele versus Estevez as we come across the timing line to begin lap 9. Laboutele with the inside line with track position, with the grip under braking, but does he want to get ahead of Estevez or does he want to leave himself open to the opportunity into turn 3? Estevez run to the curb on the outside. Laboutele's going to try and pick up his slipstream here on the exit of turn 1 and then run it for a move shortly on the inside into turn 3. The Frenchman closes up onto the back of the Argentine then. Estevez defends track position on the inside and just holds on to 6th place for now. So nice, clean, fair racing in the mid-pack here.
So the rain's getting a little bit lighter, but we've still got a heavy rain zone coming in there from the south, and the wind is blowing in north direction, so it's bringing that rain cell across. So it's not quite done in terms of rain, but already though some of these guys searching for the water, it seems, and these wet tyres they've been on since the start of the race. They're going to start to wear some more. But if you're Estevez right now, you're in a bit of a tricky situation because you're trying to overtake Paul Jura, but if you do that, you put yourself back into the clutches of the car behind Laboutele, and we've seen him, he's elbows out all the way as Laboutele in this race. So definitely one to watch out for, but Estevez needs to try and focus and try and put a car between him and that BMW behind.
Got to be careful as well, you don't want to squabble too much because look who's going to clear off into the distance. Paul Jura doesn't need a second invitation to build a bit more of a gap over those two drivers, and Estevez there wide on the exit. That could leave him under threat from Laboutele, maybe not into these last couple of corners, but perhaps across the timeline and into turn 1 again.
I was going to say, speaking of clearing off into the distance, the leaders now are 5 seconds ahead of the rest as Laboutele dives up the inside of the last corner, not usually a place to see an overtake there. Up into 6th place goes Laboutele. Bashing and crashing into each other a little bit, so we'll see if the stewards have anything to say about any of the racing. To me, it's all fair racing right now. Great move by Laboutelet, but now the question is, can he make up the time to Paul Ura in front? The gap now about 1.8 seconds, just about out of the slipstream range. It's going to be all power from that BMW, which we know has got plenty of as it bears down on the Mazda in front. But yeah, Medina and Hensey, first and second, 6.5 seconds ahead of Benton for Mercedes in third. So it's been good for Ferrari and Porsche right now.
Well, hugely impressive as well for Hensey to just stick it onto the coattails of Medina, not launching any moves, not getting himself into any trouble, just keeping himself there ready to try and pounce. Let's have a look here. Esteban, he just went a little bit deep, didn't he? And then Laboutelet said, thanks very much. There's a tiny bit of contact out of that penultimate corner, into the final turn. Laboutelet up the inside and through into sixth position. Didn't need a second invitation there. His next target will be trying to close up onto the back of Paul Ura for fifth position. Meanwhile, back at the front, you've got Medina and Hensey still close to one another. This has been the story of the race. It is a little bit closer than it was last time around, so I wonder if Hensey wants to just try and lead the race at this point, maybe.
Might be a mistake for Medina as well. Of course, that gap is now down to only a tenth of a second, and that Hensey makes the mistake, gets onto the silly part of the circuit, recovers it well, but that would have been a nerve-wracking moment there for Benjamin Hensey and Team Porsche. The gap back up now to 6 tenths of a second, much to the delight, I'm sure, of Mohamed Medina in front in that Ferrari. But we're seeing the pace. We're seeing the pace come through now for Hensey and Team Porsche. That's going to be a wake-up call, I think, for Mohamed in front. Okay, cool, right. This guy is quick behind me now. I need to focus. I can't be making silly mistakes and let that gap come down again.
I tell you what, I can't remember the last time we saw a driver, though, come into the Gran Turismo World Series and just perform as well as Mohamed Medina has done, and also for Benjamin Hensey as well, actually, for that matter. These two have just been parachuted into this season, and it's like they've been here for years.
Yeah, they've done amazing so far, but the race is far from over. And to prove that, here are people squabbling for position in the midfield. Romero and Benko looking up the inside of that Genesis. Not going to get a good run of the corner there. Here comes Kylian Drumont in the Subaru trying to recover after a spin earlier on. But again, just hasn't quite got the legs in that bit. Any corner exit, any acceleration zone, it just goes backwards. It must be so frustrating. But that is the manufacturer's cut. Not all cars have the same strength in the same places. There's Drumont, big dive up the inside. Penko there also having contact with Romero in the Genesis, and there's still contact, nearly spinning out. Penko is Drumont. They all seem to somehow get out of the corner, but that was a bit of a mess down there.
That's the thing is, when these cars are driving on the limit, as they are in these conditions, you could push them around with your little finger, basically. They are just on the ragged edge of adhesion. You can see Penko is now lost out here to Jose Serrano, who's having something of an anonymous race, it must be said, in that Toyota. Let's have a look at the lap times. Where are we at in terms of that? The weather, it's still in the sort of mid-138s. Nothing really to write home about. Certainly not change over to intermediates time for the drivers, despite the fact the rain has definitely decreased in intensity. So we'll keep an eye on that over the next few laps or so and see how this circuit develops, whether the pace does start to pick up.
There'll be a couple of drivers out there really, I think, hoping for that penalty. And Laboutelet given another 1 second penalty. Do you reckon that was for that little bump into the last corner? Because that would have unsettled Estevez. And basically, you refer to it as a bump and run, which if you're driving a stock car is great. Here, not so much. So that may be for that. We'll come back to you when we can confirm that entirely. But another penalty for Laboutelet. He's costing himself here a good result.
Yeah, he's been in the walls a little bit over the course of this race, hasn't he? Let's be completely fair. We're still not quite at the halfway stage of this first race. There's plenty of action left to come. You can see Nico Romero there, just up ahead of Kylian Drumont. 8th, 9th, 10th then for Romero, Drumont and Serrano as it stands for now. Laboutelet though with that 1 second penalty, that's going to drop him close to the likes of Estevez and Romero, so they may fall into the distance of that, because it's not only the 1 second that you lose from the penalty, it's also the fact that you've got to get yourself back up to the same racing speed as the rest of the drivers. You can see he's right on the back though of Paul Ura as we head through this middle sector of the lap. Ura doesn't want Laboutelet to try and get himself involved in the action because that's going to cost him time. You can see there, cue the Jaws music, Estevez, Romero and Drumont all not far away from this.
Slightly autographs casually, but here we go then. Penalty being applied to Laboutelet in that BMW right now. Can Estevez make the most of it? It's going to have the overspeed a lot quicker, right onto the back of that BMW, but not quite close enough to make the move at that point. And I'll tell you what, Estevez will be ruined that. He really wants to get by Laboutelet. He had that pace, but actually saying that, since Laboutelet got past, he did manage to open up a little bit of a gap. So maybe the charge starting to wane a little bit there for Estevez in the Honda.
So across the timeline we go. Badima, Engse and Fenton still your top three as it stands for now. Nose-to-tail racing here though in this mid-pack of this one. Keen to see what is going to happen here. You can see Drummond now on the recovery with Nico Romero just up at the sharp end of the field. You can see them also on the left-hand side of your screen. Drummond up at the top, Romero down at the bottom. Reverse of those in positions on the track at the moment as we go through the left-hand kick. This is turn 2 technically, and then this braking zone just after. This is into turn 3, and we've seen a few drivers making a bit of a meal of it, it has to be said. You can see Romero there really slow actually on the apex of the corner, allows Drummond to close right up onto the back of him.
Interesting strategy there for Drummond, taking a higher gear and just nailing it out of the corner and hoping for the best. Maybe better than trying to play with the throttle and having that wheel spin the moment that we've seen so many times from these guys coming out of the slow corners. As we come through again now down to Team 4, and still rain coming down for these guys at the moment, so still having to deal with this, still having to deal with the conditions there, as Badima has actually just about spread the gap a little bit to Hense up in the lead. You can see there are live audience there enjoying the racing as of now. Manufacturers Cup now, Nations Cup a little bit later on today, so lots of racing for you Gran Turismo fans at home watching. And there is our weather radar, and after I think this the last cell of heavier rain, I think it looks like we're starting to clear up a little bit, so we will see. Of course the weather is moving all the time, the number of weather conditions here in GT7, so lots of the possibilities still to come.
And speaking of those possibilities, Jimmy, for the likes of the Labutale, Estevez, who are a little bit further down the order, do you think they'll be a little bit more inclined to take that risk? Because we see Drummond now getting close onto the back of Romero, not quite going for the move. But yeah, just go back to that point. Do you think that they might take a bit of a gamble? They've got less to lose. Yeah,
I think so. I mean, the moment, if I was one of those guys, the moment I saw contact there, between Drummond and Romero, nothing seemed to come from it there, but just showing that braking performance of that Subaru. You see on the brakes, Drummond is a demon. It doesn't matter. You can't do anything with it when he comes off the corner. But to finish my thought there, yeah, if you're one of these guys who may be trying to think, can I improve my race? At the moment I saw my lap time coming down, I would come into straight away, maybe even one lap before, just try and cool it before everyone else does.
Do a Jensen Button. Do you remember what he did in Australia 2010? He came off the intermediate tyres straight onto the slicks, went off on the next corner, and then managed to get enough heat to get those tyres working. That's a problem for later for these drivers to worry about. We are now at the halfway stage though of this race. Into turn 4 we go. Romero still in front of Drummond, as Serrano there in the back got a bit of a slip and a slide on as well.
Now, we've been singing the praises of Estevez in this race, but also Ryan Darouche up 4 places from his starting position. The second best of the front engine runners to Fenton, who has, I think, just sort of found his pace now, found his groove, and is actually starting to go back towards Hense in front ever so slowly. It actually looks like the charge of Ben Hense in the Porsche is starting to slow down a bit as Drummond goes up the inside of Romero at the S's there. They're now side by side coming up to this last couple of corners here. Drummond on the inside, Romero on the outside, but Romero able to just drive straight back past him again. That must be so frustrating if you're Kylian Drummond.
What a shame there for Drummond. He's doing nothing wrong at this moment. And look at the exit he's got out the corner, pulls alongside Romero and easily gets ahead, but is that going to leave him vulnerable into the next heavy braking zone of turn 3? Side by side they go down the start finish straight. Romero's going to go for the long sweeping line on the corner of turn 1 and try to use the traction on the exit. Gets a bit of a slip and a slide on Drummond, pushed to the sausage curb on the outside, and again side by side they go. Romero on the inside, Drummond's on the outside, and Romero in the Genesis with greater straight line speed just powers past the Subaru. Nothing Drummond is able to do. Into the braking zone of turn 3, closed up once again, gets very deep on the brakes, tries to switch back on the inside, gets himself ahead. That might leave an opportunity for Serrano to come into play as well.
That's what he needs. He needs that. He needs someone else in between him and Romero. Serrano dives up the inside in that Toyota, but Drummond, even still, that amazing exit, is still struggling to try and make the gap heavy on the brakes. Now this is where Drummond's got to make the difference. He's got to be quick in this middle sector. If he can get free, I think we're going to see him pull up to the back of Labutale. He just needs to be on his own, and he's made it. Look at the difference in speed there as Serrano gathers it up from a slide mid-corner. 100 mile an hour plus slide, and these things are scary, I can tell you that for sure. But going for his middle sector, Drummond just disappearing now from Samara Romero as he is finally unleashed.
Romero was so wide out of turn 4, he was almost off into the car park at that point. He managed to get it back online and gather it all up, but it really could have cost him quite dearly indeed. He's now got to redo all of the hard work that he was trying to do on Serrano a few corners ago. In towards the penultimate turn we go. lap times now starting to creep into the 137s for the first time as well. Hensey and Fenton in the high 137s. The low 137s are where we're expecting that intermediate tyre crossover point to begin. So across the timing line we go. Jura and Labuschagne under investigation. Let's have a look here and see what happened. Jura's late on the race. This is down into turn 4-3, isn't it? And, up the inside. That allowed Estevez to go through.
I mean, he was there for a long time. He was alongside. I know he came from a long way back, but they were side by side, and the Labuschagne still turned in. So I don't know. He got there. I think that's fair, but it doesn't matter. They're still going at it. Jura at the inside again, trying again, but Labuschagne will have the better traction on the outside. We think so anyway, but Jura actually managing to outpace, it seems, the BMWs wheel to wheel, side by side, coming down to the next corner. It's a downhill braking zone. We want to be on the outside really for the grip here, and Labuschagne there just a bit more confident on the brakes, able to get the move back past again and up back into 6th place.
I love the way that Jura's got the indicator on, as if he's signalling that he's going to move over to the left-hand side of the circuit. Can he launch an attack here on Labuschagne into the next corner? No, not quite. Just sits in the wheel tracks of the BMW for the time being.
I think we're getting... Look, is that a dry line?
It's drier than it was.
It's drier than it was, wasn't it?
Look at them. Look, they're using the outer parts of the circuit to try and cool those tyres down. They don't want to be on the normal racing line because there's no standing water on that part of the track. It can't cool the tyres down enough.
Yeah, it seems that they're really struggling right now. I think if I saw Hensey, I mean, the times are 37.8, 37.4 from Hensey. If I was someone on the track right now and I was struggling, that's my right. Okay, I'm coming in. I'm putting those inters on, and I'm gonna chance it, because the weather radar that we have, you guys can't see it right now. We have it here in our booth. We can see that there's a bit more rain coming, but it's really starting to dry out enough that these cars are now starting to move that water off the circuit and create a drying line. So really, as we come into lap 17 of this 28-lap race, it's all going to unfold and start again. Who's going to make that first gamble? Who's going to go to that intermediate compound tyre first? And who's going to reap the benefits of that?
So, who is going to roll the dice then? Let's see what happens. Surely at the end of this lap, some of the drivers that are a bit lower down, they've got to come in, they've got to take a gamble, because it's their opportunity to try and use that pace advantage that they may have from switching onto the intermediate tyres. I don't think anyone's going to be quite as bold as to go onto the dry tyres, but if you look at the weather radar though, here's Jimmy, there's not much rain on the horizon, not much on the forecast. Do you just chance it, stay out on the wet tyres for a little bit longer, then go onto the dry tyres at the first available opportunity and try and miss a pit stop? Because what you're going to lose, 10, 12, 14 seconds maybe from a pit stop?
Yeah, I think so, but I mean, you have to, surely. I mean, the difference in tyre and speed between the two tyres is pretty significant, so you really have to think about it. And again, looking at the timings, I mean, the worst person to be right now is Mohamed Badima, because you're out front, you're the one basically giving the info to everybody else. This is where it gets really difficult. But if I was Coque Lopez, I'd be like, you know what, I'm coming in right now. Why the hell not? I'm 26 seconds off the lead. Make a gamble.
Yeah, well, he's got nothing to lose, hasn't he, Coque Lopez? And I tell you what, the gap for the race leader's come down a little bit. Yeah, let's see who has come into the pit lane at the end of this lap. We look at the Labuschagne Jura. Yeah, Mateo Estevez in the Honda has come in for another set of tyres. Now, which way is he going to blink? Is he going to go onto intermediate tyres? Surely that's going to be where the sensible money is for the Honda driver. Or does he just gamble and go straight for the dry tyres? I don't think he'll be able to get the heat into them. Let's see which way the Argentine goes. Yep, it is onto the intermediate tyres then. So, nicely done for Mateo Estevez in the Honda. Exits out of pit lane, and he is the first driver in the now drying conditions with 9.5 laps remaining to change over onto the intermediate tyres.
So now everyone is going to be watching Mateo Estevez and what his pace is like. You can see a little bit, of course, lap time, and like when you're driving around here in these live events. So if Estevez now is starting to set purple lap times, purple sector time, you're thinking, right, okay, now is the time to come in. Now is the time to switch to that compound of tyre. Someone else who might consider that, these guys, Dumont and Serrano, a bit further down the field than they would usually like to be, but we know these cars are strong in the dry conditions, and the track is starting to go that way. More importantly, Badima, Hensey, who are coming round to the last sector now, will they see the Estevez is coming? Will they go for that gamble and go into that intermediate compound of tyres? The times now, we're starting to almost see 36s from the front. We think the crossover is about a mid-37, so maybe it's time. Who knows? Let's see. They're coming to the last corner now. Badima comes in.
0.3 of a second, second minutes driver, but Badima does come in then off the wet tyres. He's going to surely go onto the intermediates. That releases Hensey into the lead. So Badima is the first driver to blink. He was the first driver to get there, of course, and he'll be feeling the conditions out. You can see the rain is still coming down, albeit in a lighter intensity. Surely it's going to be the intermediate tyre And it is for Mohamed Badima then. So the Ferrari onto the intermediate tyres. He's the second driver to blink and go on to that quicker compound at this stage in the race.
He's just fanning himself. He's feeling the pressure. He is. I mean, they say first driver to blink, the first driver at the head of the pack to go to those intermediates. He comes out right behind Ray and Darush. So this is going to be interesting for him. Will he have the pace to be able to drive by Darush, or will he be held up here? So you want to try and put yourself into a gap when you make a strategy call like this. But right now, he's behind Darush. So coming out of this T3 here, this is a traction zone. Let's see the difference between the Ferrari and that Corvette, that Chevy Corvette in front. Looks like Badima's much faster on exit there, gaining a tenth of a second just on the exit. I think this is the right call. And you see Estevez and Penko coming in now also for that intermediate compound tyre. I think we'll see them all coming in now, Tom.
Yeah, this is the time when mistakes can be made on cold tyres for Badima. He's got to spend a few corners getting them up to temperature, but he's doing a really good job. You can see a bit of an eyebrow twitch there as we look at him in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Ray and Darush in front, and surely Darush is going to come into the pit lane at the end of this lap. Surely the rest of the field have to. They can't sit out there on these wet tyres. They've got to change over to the inters. Is anybody going to take a gamble though? Stay on the wets, maybe go for the dries a little bit later on when the track gets even faster. It's a gamble. It could pay off.
It could, because you're then saving an entire pit stop. Pit stop's worth a lot of time around here. So we'll see. Watching Badima now, not quite making the inroads on Darush as you think he would right now. So the wet tyre is still okay for now, but now here it is. It is the sort of low speed corners, these medium speed corners. You can see Mohamed there thinking, have I made the right choice?
Look at the fastest sector times though coming in on the timing screen, Jimmy. You look at the likes of Matteo Esso, he was fastest overall in that first sector by second sector by a second over the comparative wet runners in front of him. So he's now starting to get heat into the tyres, starting to find the pace, and surely it's going to be a matter of when and not if Badima finds his way through on the wet shod Darush.
I mean, you can see the circuit now visibly starting to have drier patches and wetter patches on. You see Darush taking the wet part and Badima trying to stay on the drier part and really using that intermediate compound tyre. Now, of course, the downside to that is you're going to just absolutely lunch that intermediate tyre on the drier compounded circuit, but that's what it's there for. It's there to be that crossover period. And again, on the traction zone, gained nearly half a second on Darush in front. And now, will Darush fight this or not? Because if he's staying out, that says to me he's going to go right immediately onto the slick. So Badima, as he goes, easy pass there for Badima, not quite though. The strength and the Corvette there, big speed. Go on, sorry, Tom.
Look at the sunshine though in the distance. That's going to drive the track out even more because we're now starting to see the weather changing even more. Badima right on the back here of Darush as we come through this left-hander. He's got more traction, he's got more grip, he's got the opportunity on the inside. Darush tries to defend the position as he's rightful to do so. Can Badima firm it around the outside? It's risky going through there, but Badima's got track position. He's got third place for the time being. He's going to have more grip under braking into the penultimate corner, and the former race leader Mohamed Badima on the intermediate tyres is now up into third place.
But now he needs to catch Hensey and Fenton, who have both chosen not to pit here. So, as you say, Tom, they might just be roughing it out on that wet tyre and hoping for the best. We'll take a look at lap times. I mean, this is not really going to be a representative, I think, of the pace for Badima at the moment. Still does a 34.7 whilst passing. Sorry, Tom.
Yeah, you can say Ura and Romero also into the pit lane then. Where are they going to go, though? That's the question. They're going to go wets onto winters. They are. I wondered if someone might just take a bit of a gamble and just go onto the dry tyres, but they're playing it safe at this stage.
He does.
Romero goes soft.
This could be a massive decision here. Nico Romero for Team Genesis decides to play a hand. He's going for those soft tyres. So let's see how he does. We'll watch his sector times eagerly and see how he gets on. But here he is out the pit lane now. Can he get up to speed, or is it going to be just a mess? So he's going to be going straight over to that drying line. We'll see how he does, because the guys who've taken the intermediate tyres already will have to stop again and go to those softs. This could be everything for Romero and Genesis.
This is bold from Romero and for Genesis, but they've got nothing to lose. They weren't really featuring in the podium battle, and this could be an absolute masterstroke if the rain isn't going to come down. You can see the sunshine now bathing this circuit, and the dry line getting even more prominent. And of course, the likes of Badima, he might have to firm it out on the intermediate tyres and move over to the wet parts of the track, so it could go from being an advantage for a few laps into a disadvantage depending on what Romero does. But I tell you what, he is a brave man to go out there, take a gamble quite like this. We've got to keep a very close eye on the lap times. You can see though now a very prominent difference between the wets and the intermediates. Fenton and Badima 0.7 of a second quicker for the Ferrari compared to the Mercedes in second and third.
I don't think it's enough though, Tom. I don't think it's enough at this stage. Romero, so look at his second sector, is comparable to those on the wet tyres. A little bit faster, actually. The intermediate tyre, definitely the fastest tyre right now, but will it be Darush as well, opting to come in for that soft? Laboutelet in, Serrano in, Coca Lopez in. Are they all going to go for that soft compounded tyre? Did Mohamed Badima blink a little bit too early?
Well, we'll see what happens here as Darush crawls his way out of the pit lane. He's going to have to be very careful off the racing line to not spin up those slick tyres and try and get some heat into them. Moves over to the drying line. That's going to leave him under attack here from Jura. So Darush now behind the intermediate shod Estevez. Now this will be a real test because Darush has had good pace. He's on the soft tyre. The two drivers sandwiching him at the moment, both on the intermediates. You'll expect Jura to be quicker. Look how much more grip he's got under braking, especially into turn 3. And out of this corner as Darush tries to get those softs up to some operating temperature. Jura here is on the inside. Darush, I'm sure, is going to be a little bit defenceless at this stage, but he's not taking it lying down into the braking zone of turn 4. Has Jura got more grip under braking? He certainly has. He dives to the inside in the Mazda. Darush has got no answer for him at the moment, but there's still a few laps left. There's still 5.5 laps for this to come the way of Darush and Laboutelet and the likes of Romero, Serrano and Lopez, all of whom have gone onto the dry tyres.
Isn't this crazy? We have every compounded tyre currently in the car. Hensei finally opting to pit in. He'll go surely to the soft tyre. There's no other option at this point for him. The track is still dry, nothing on the weather radar coming in. Fenton opting to stay out again. This is going to promote Badima back up into soft there for Hensei. So this is going to be a crazy finish. We're going to have to check the gaps once we get them go through the sectors. But right now, Badima 1.7 off the lead. Hensei back out on that soft compounded tyre. Where does he come out? Kylian Drummond, who's not pitted, is still in P4 at the moment, just behind this battle. And the gap is about 10 seconds between Fenton, the leading car, and Hensei, who's just come out the pit on the softs.
So 5 laps left of this race. This is going to be the longest 5 laps of Badima's life. He has got to drive so carefully to keep those intermediate tyres in the right operating window, depending on if those soft tyres that a lot of other drivers are on, the likes of Hensei, etc., are going to be able to try and close up.
I've checked the timings. Romero is the fastest man on the circuit right now on those soft tyres. The soft tyre is a tyre to be on.
Look at Darush on the inside of Jura then. Soft tyre there for Darush. He's got some heat into it after just 1 lap. He now deposes the Mazda down into 7th place, and his next target's going to be Matteo Estevez. He's going to drive by him like he's standing still.
But importantly, is there enough time? Is there enough time left? There's about 6 laps left here. You need at least a second lap plus the overtake for Hensei. He's the one we're watching right now in P3 to try and catch Fenton and Badima. So right now, Estevez, Darush and Jura, all of them, Darush on the soft tyre, Estevez and Jura on the intermediate tyre. For this middle sector, you can see Darush just hasn't quite got the speed. Jura can go around the outside, but as soon as he hooks into that dry tarmac, that Chevrolet just absolutely takes off. Fenton coming in too late for Fenton. He's really going to lose out here, I think.
Yeah, I think you could be right. Could possibly cost him a podium here as we look at this battle. 3 drivers all squabbling for position on 3 different compounds of tyre as well. Darush then on the soft, Jura and Estevez on the intermediate tyres. Through the final corner we go. Darush with more traction, more speed underneath him. He's going to out-drag Jura for the time being as we come down this start-finish straight though. Jura moves onto the wet part of the circuit to try and cool those intermediate tyres down. Estevez also following suit as well. Keep an eye out for Laboutelet, who's on the soft tyres in the BMW. He could be a real cork in the bottle at the moment, and he could power past the likes of Estevez and Jura. So at the front we've got a 9.5 second gap here. Badima, he can't pit again, he can't afford to. He's not got the time in his pocket on those intermediate tyres. He's got to run this to the end of the race as we go side by side here between Estevez and Laboutelet for 7th place, and Laboutelet on the soft tyres, more grip under braking, and 7th place is his for the taking into turn 3.
33.7 last lap for Badima, our leader. Laboutelet on the soft tyres in P7 does a 31.4. That's 2 seconds a lap faster. There is enough time for Hensei to catch Badima here with 4.5 laps left of this race. M Prague, the grand final, on board with Laboutelet on that soft tyre, trying to find his way around Paul Jura. Should be easily said and done. It goes round the outside, up he goes.
Hensei's just gone 7/10 of a second faster in the middle sector than Badima on this 1 lap alone. That is an absolute meteoric amount of time for Hensei. Jimmy's rubbing his hands together with glee because this is setting up an absolute treat. into the final stage of this one, but nose-tail action for 4th place. Could possibly be the final place on the podium, because look at Drummond, he's on the wet tyres. They are not the compound to be on at the moment, and he is going to be a sitting duck compared to the soft shot Fenton, Le Boutelet and Derouche behind him. And Drummond is surely going to be losing out in a space of a few hundred metres as we head in towards the braking zone of turn 1.
This is amazing racing. 3rd, 4th and 5th all vying for position, going into T1 onto lap 25. Fenton at the inside, maybe, if Drummond. No, he's there, the only guy out there right now on the wet tyre, trying to make it work, trying something different, but he's not got the traction. Here comes the Boutelet, here comes Fenton. They're side by side, coming up now towards T2 and T3. The Boutelet almost pushing Drummond. We've seen that. Derouche, a 5th place. Look at the speed of the Corvair. To the inside goes Derouche. Oh, it's contact. Fenton's gone.
Fenton's gone. He's straight off onto the outside of the track. Drummond with nothing going as well. No grip for him on the wet shot Subaru. And unfortunately for Daniel Fenton, he's put in a brilliant race in his debut event, and it all comes to nothing, sadly, for him. Meanwhile, at the sharp end, the gap up to nearly 10 seconds as we see Jura versus Drummond side by side. This will be easy for Jura because he'll have more grip under braking on the intermediate tyres. But Hengse made a mistake on that last lap. He was quickest overall in the 2nd sector, but the 3rd sector, he must have made an error because he was about a second slower than Badima last time around. And that could be the catalyst which may cost him a chance of victory.
But did you see Ryan Derouche there, Tom? He went from, I think, 6th or 7th to 3rd in one corner. Amazing run there. However, the stewards not so happy about that. I wouldn't be either if I was Fenton. Here's a replay. Look at Derouche. He's in 6th place right now. Super close. Makes the most. Goes around the outside of the Boutelet. Goes around the inside of Fenton. Breaks into the contact. Hits this. Oh, this is all messy. I think. You know what I think happened? I think that there was a bit of contact. I think Fenton braked on the wet part, on the 6.
Well, you could argue that Derouche hit the back of Drummond. Maybe that upset the balance of Hengse's car. Either way, well, the stewards have got more angles. Let's have another look at it later on and see if we can pick the bones out of it. Meanwhile, Derouche versus Le Boutelet, then 2 soft compound tyres. This is the final battle for the final podium place, and of course all important World Series points over the course of this season as well. So this doesn't just mean a matter of pride, it means a matter of their championship position. Meanwhile, at the sharp end, I think Badima is going to have enough left in his pocket as it stands for now. 8 seconds the gap he has got over Hengse. If Hengse hadn't made that mistake a couple of laps ago, he could be in with a bit more of a shout, but at the time being, I don't know.
We'll see, Tom. Fastest lap so far from Craig Lopez is a 30.5. Fastest lap from Badima is a 33.5. That's 3 seconds of that faster. There is still time for Hengse to get there. The Boutelet inside Derouche makes a mistake, gets onto the wet part of the circuit. The 6 cannot deal with the water, and he slides out there. And the Boutelet, after hitting pretty much everyone in this race so far, up to P3. Will he stay there? Stewards' inquiry ongoing at the moment. But Hengse, that is the battle we need to keep an eye on. It's 6.6 seconds, the last lap there. There is Badima. Right now, you can't see Hengse. So right now, it's in good, okay. For this run my laps, he's got 2 laps at the line left here, putting over onto that wet part of the circuit to try and cool down his engine. Look at the time, Tom, 34.2. He's losing time. Those tyres are starting to fall apart. What is Hense's time? 31.7, 3 seconds faster. It's still on.
It's game on. You're absolutely right. The track is getting faster and faster over the course of this one. Badima's sitting 5.6 seconds, the advantage he has over Hengse, but he's just going to be hemorrhaging time. You can see him there moving over, trying to keep those inters cool. But is it all going to be in vain? Look at that in the background. You can see Hengse in the Porsche. Could it be game on? And now Badima's struggling to slow the car down into turn 3. This is the pressure really getting to Mohamed Badima. Hengse there, meanwhile, he's on the opportune compound of tyre at the right moment in this race, but he has got 5.5 seconds of a gap to close up onto the back within a lap and a half.
So we need to see a gap of 3 seconds or less realistically for Hengse to have a go on the last lap. But that's 3 seconds plus the overtake, which, to be fair, should be fairly easy. But there's only one dry line there. If you can defend that dry line, there's no way these soft tyres can deal with that water. The moment they go offline, as we saw with Ryan Derouche just in the last lap, the car, you're just a passenger. But look how much faster the progression there, from being a second lap slower on lap 24 to being 3 seconds a lap faster on lap 26. And Badima now comes to the last sector. It is going to be so close to the line.
One locked brake, one snatched wheel, one run off of the normal racing line. It could be curtains then for Benjamin Hengstay. No further action between Larouche Trumont and Daniel Fenton. A racing incident then, it is deemed for that. Meanwhile, the battle for the race lead is well and truly on as we begin the final lap. Mohamed Badima for Ferrari on the intermediate tyres. Benjamin Hengstay on the soft competitive tyre. We come across the timing line. 3 seconds is the gap between these top two. It is winner takes all stakes and 6 points in the World Series up for grabs.
The way it's going to be right now is Hensay is going to catch Badima right at the end of the last lap. Badima will know that Hensay is coming. He'll have one eye in the mirror, but he needs to focus forward if he wants to take this for Ferrari. This will be by far Ferrari's best result here in the Manufacturers' Cup if he can just hang on for half a lap more. But look, the gap now down to 2 seconds.
Crucially though for Hengstay and for Badima, Hengstay is out of slipstream range at this point. He's not close enough to launch an attack at the moment. He'll be closed up right in this middle section. This is going to be a real Achilles heel for the intermediate shot Ferrari through these medium speed left-handers here.
Yeah, this is where the Ferrari's going to struggle the most. This is where Hensay can close the gap. 1.5 seconds now. Here's the gap between Ferrari and Porsche. He'll be victorious here in Prague. Only a few more corners left. Can Badima hang on?
Labouchelet and Darouche under investigation. Darouche is down to 9th place. As clearly something's gone on between those two drivers. Badima driving. He's got a few corners remaining, but the gap is now under a second. And Hengstay there can sniff the opportunity of victory. It's within his grasp. Badima moves over off the racing line. There's 2 corners now remaining. It's Ferrari versus Porsche. It's Badima versus Hengstay. It's winner takes all stakes. Badima goes to defend the final corner. Hengstay goes for the move on the outside. It's a drag to the line in the Manufacturers' Cup. Is it Badima and Ferrari? Is it Hengstay and Porsche? Badima has done it! Fantastic! Mohamed Badima wins for Ferrari in Prague in the Manufacturers' Cup Grand Final from Benjamin Hengstay and Thomas Labouchelet. I tell you what, a longer final lap any other circuit and Badima would have lost the racing lead.
0.0092 of a second separating Ferrari and Porsche at the end. What a drive from Mohamed Badima. What a debut there, taking Ferrari to the top step of the podium for the first time ever in the Manufacturers' Cup. But what a drive also from Benjamin Hensay. Again, first time here at a World Series event, performing at that level, almost taking the win for Porsche. But more importantly, another second place for Team Porsche. Looking good for those guys in the standings. We'll get those to you very shortly. But can't take anything away from Mohamed Badima. Imagine that feeling, knowing you're on the wrong tyre, seeing that Porsche coming up behind quickly, and you can see the audience there. They enjoyed that almost as much as we did.
Let's go and catch up then with our race winner, Mohamed Badima. His first ever event, he's down on the stage talking to Jules. In the Czech Republic, it is time to go racing then. Drivers are lined up on the grid here at Dragon Trail Seaside. Who will be claiming the checkered flag though in 32 laps time? Well, Kimi Miyazono did it a few weeks ago in Montreal. Can he make it? 2 wins from 2 rounds here tonight. Valerio Gallo also joins him on the front row of the grid. Row 2 is headed by Takuma Sasaki. Alongside him is Callum Roach, 4th place for the American driver. Next up, Guy Barbara all the way from down under in Australia. And he has got Guy de Bruyne for company, the Dutchman. Next up, Adriano Carrazza, been in the war so far tonight. He run the wrong. Jose Serrano, former and also reigning champion, lines up 8th position with Angelo Stroza, P9 on the grid. 10th place will be Kylian Drumont. He needs a good race to get his points tally off the ground. Robbie Heck lines up P11. And then completing the grid is another former and also reigning champion, part of the team's fade out that won it last year, Coque Lopez. Now, interestingly here, Jimmy, drivers going on the medium tyres, all but Coque Lopez down in 12th.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're Coque Lopez, now you've just got to make something happen because you're in P12, you've got 11 of the fastest Gran Turismo drivers in front of you. The only way you're going to pass them easily is with that tyre advantage. But we know the start of his races, being on that soft tyre maybe isn't the best choice. If you have traffic ahead of you, you end up burning up and not getting the best life out of that tyre. But we'll see what happens.
A plethora of medium tyres then to start this race. The only outlier is the man you can see in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. That is Coque Lopez. He's going to make a sharp ascension through the field as it's all bunched up. But how far will he be able to go? And of course, he's going to be on the medium tyres later on when everybody else, in theory, will probably be on the soft compounds. Will that hurt his charge? We'll find out in 32 laps' time. Who is going to take the checkered flag? And crucially, who will be leading the championship as we head into Tokyo later on this year for the Gran Turismo World Series? The Nations Cup Grand Final here in Prague is underway. Takuma Miyazono leads the field across the timeline from Valerio Gallo, from Takuma Sasaki as we come through into turn 1 and then turn 2. This is the real heavy braking zone. Is anybody going to think about a lunge? Gallo has a half look there to the inside. The field relatively spread out, but of course a big braking zone there does present opportunities that it may not at other circuits for some drivers. All pretty clean through the first couple of corners. Miyazono it is that still holds on to the lead.
Yeah, nice getaway there from Miyazono. Exactly what he would have wanted here at the start of the race. Lopez making up a couple of places up to P10 using that soft tyre as we said he would. So Miyazono, Gallo, Sasaki, Roach, Barbara, Kai De Bruyne make the top 6 as we go down to the first big overtaking spot of the lap. Now they're up to speed. The first hairpin. Is anyone close enough for a move? Will anyone chance it on this medium compound tyre? No, Ron Stern so far. As I say that, Guy Barbara has a bit of a half look. Guy Barbara, I've got to say, driving very well recently, putting himself in the top of his order and being in the top 5. But of course, long race to go here. Lots of strategy to go as you go through the chicane for the first time. Makes you wince every time going through this. So close to the walls. Guy Barbara moves up into 4th place past Callum Roach.
Yeah, I think Roach made a mistake. That's put him under pressure from Kai De Bruyne. Also, De Bruyne moving up a couple of places then. So Serrano and Stroza under investigation for a collision on this opening lap. Meanwhile, Coque Lopez going up the field like a rat through a drain pipe as he goes up into 8th position with right on board here with Barbara. Slight lift on the throttle there as we head through this fast right-hander. Sasaki trying to challenge Miyazono, looking with the outside line there. The top 2 going defensive. Sasaki, it is. Oh, big wiggle on a wobble as Gallo runs wide. Miyazono goes through, and now Sasaki, it's all kicking off in the mid-pack here. We go through into the right-hander. Miyazono it is that leads. Gallo in 2nd, and now Rhodes back up into 3rd place with Sasaki, De Bruyne and Karatza all in tow.
The thing is, all these guys fighting on that medium compound tyre. This is basic a position. There's no tyre deficit. It's just a straight race at this point. Guy Barbara, as you say, getting shuffled down. Sasaki and Callum Roach back in. Kai De Bruyne pushing the American along. Sasaki looking to the inside for a move, maybe defended, maybe a little bit late there. By way the back, who is that? It's Guy Barbara. He's round. Off goes Serrano as well, off into the barrier there. What happened to Guy Barbara?
Oh, dearie me, it was inevitable that something was going to kick off. Look at this, you can't go 2 by 2 through that chicane either. Oh, I thought Gallo was going to end up in the wall at one point there, but somehow he managed to avoid it. Look at this, De Bruyne versus Karatza. They go side by side through into the final corner. Heck versus Roach further back there as well. De Bruyne now up into 3rd. Karatza relegated down to 4th.
Yeah, I mean, that was just chaos through there, wasn't it? Miyazono, through all of that, has gained a little bit of a gap. We see it's Coque Lopez and Guy Barbara involved in that, so we'll see what the stewards make of that. Gallo now, of course, down to 5th place. It always seems to happen to Valerio. Goes for a very strong move there on edge on a Karatza. Karatza lets it happen. Gallo back up to 4th place and just blocking a little bit of extra there. Nice to see that. Bit slow on the throttle. Halt the charge of Karatza behind, looking for the switchback. Heck, though, looking up the inside as well. What a drive from Robbie Heck so far. Up to P5 is the American.
Audacious lunge through into the right-hander there. Oh, and Heck goes round! Contact there with Adriano Karatza, I think it was. And Heck, well, we were just singing his praises. The commentator's curse, sadly, is alive and well. And Robbie, right down to the bottom of the pile there and thereabouts into 10th position. Now here's Kai de Bruyne on the back of Takuma Sasaki, so it's a Japanese 1-2 with Miyazono heading his compatriot through that right-handed hairpin. We go into the chicane. It's all kicking off further behind. This will be music to the ears of Coque Lopez. Now what happened here with Guy Barbara and Lopez? Into the braking zone we go. Barbara there on the left-hand side. He moved over, and Lopez nowhere to go. Not Lopez's fault at all.
He wasn't looking in his mirrors, was he? He was going for the move in the car in front, and there you go. Yeah, I mean, that's an easy slam-dunk penalty there. But meanwhile, Kai de Bruyne up to second place. Now, I spoke to the Dutchman before we started this show tonight, and he was saying that I love this car. This is my car, this is my track. And he's up 4 positions from his qualifying slot, and now looking to chase down Takuma Miyazono. Is someone looking to challenge Takuma Miyazono? Kai de Bruyne, relative newcomer to the Gran Turismo World Series, still in a few events. That's what he's doing. And Coque Lopez, of course, also worth mentioning, that soft tyre has come up from the back of the grid up to P4. But of course, we'll have to go onto a slower tyre a bit later on. But a good charge so far from the Spaniards. Is this indicative of what's to come?
Well, Coque Lopez making hay whilst the sun shines. He needs to do that. He needs to try and now build out a gap. He needs to stop fighting with Gallo, Roach, etc. All who are very close behind. You can see Gallo there going to the defensive line with Roach looking to the outside. That may present an opportunity for him, and also maybe for Inestrosa and Carazza, who are not too far adrift. But now Lopez needs to build out that buffer, close down the deficit to the top 3, and give himself a fighting chance of making the alternate strategy on the softer, faster compound of tyre to work. Look in the background, we're 3 abreast almost as we head into that final corner.
Boys, calm down. You have so long left there, and so that Roach has just lost a few places. I think maybe biffed wide. Inestrosa had a good run there. Meanwhile, Miyazono and Sasaki are now fighting over second place. Kai de Bruyne, what an amazing race he's had so far. He's just got some level of knowledge. Now Miyazono is starting to push back. He's starting to respond. I say that. He goes off onto the curb there, losing a bit of time. Commentators curse us alive and well today, Tom, isn't it?
It certainly is, yeah. That's the second time that you've said something. The second time the subject's gone wrong after you've mentioned it. Well, Kai de Bruyne then leading the race, 4/10 of a second the advantage. You can see the advantage that Coque Lopez, though, has got on that softer compound of tyre as we come through there. A bit of a wing in the slide. This is the problem, though, with these very aerodynamic cars, is that dirty air can prove to be into effect. But look at that, he's got inside line now as Coque Lopez. He's got track position. It was a late lunge to the inside, but he's always going to have more grip under braking. Lopez is now through into 3rd place. You can see there he's been racing motorbikes since he was 5 years old, so he's not a stranger to throwing his way into danger, and especially through that chicane. You can see that he's very committed indeed, and surely the race lead is a matter of when and not if for the Spaniards.
He was at the back of Sasaki there, who was so committed in that dive. But now watch this, it's extra traction that soft tyre affords. We reckon it's about 0.2 of a lap faster around here in the medium, but I think actually, if anything, it's a bit faster than that. Maybe 0.4, 0.5 of a second as Coque Lopez now bears down on Sasaki in front. Kai de Bruyne, of course, leading this race on board. Now, great view here on board this X 2019, using those curves. See the excellence. Sasaki got the inside here. Let's call it a right-hander. No, Sasaki comes across. Will he go for it over the inside? He does. Strong move there from Coque Lopez, right on the curb and inside, up into P2. Goes a Spaniard from the back of the grid.
Not messing about with Coque Lopez. That was a decisive lunge to the inside, a very committed part of the track. So much more grip he's got into braking. Of course, the caveat to that is on the soft tyre, they're going to wear out faster. So he'll come into the pit sooner. He needs to get himself into the lead, try and build out a buffer to make that strategy work. The medium shod runners, their race will come to them a little bit later on. De Bruyne, though, it is that leads. Through the hairpin we go. Helicopter overhead tracking these drivers as we flick it through the chicane. 13, 14, then into 15 and 16. One mistake can cost you very dearly indeed. Lopez there closing up onto the back of De Bruyne. When's he going to think about making that move? He needs to do it pretty soon.
Have we ever seen anyone come from the back and overtake the field in any of his events? I don't think we have. Even with a tyre advantage, we've never seen it before. This is an absolutely amazing drive by Coque Lopez. So he's in the wheel tracks now of Kai de Bruyne. We're looking back from that rear wing of the Dutch drivers X 2019. Here comes Coque Lopez. Will he go for moving the T1? No, not quite close enough, but I've got a feeling now, coming up to this next hairpin, he'll have a look. Still looking back from Kai de Bruyne. Can Coque Lopez go from last to first here at Prague? in the grand final, not quite close enough now.
I wonder, I was just about to say, his tyres, they're going to be a little bit more worn now. This is the problem, is that they're great for 6 or 7 laps or so, but coming to sort of lap 8, 9, 10, they're going to start getting a bit worn, and that's the problem, is that performance advantage he had is going to be wearing pretty thin. You can already see his rears down to 40% relative to the medium strong runners around him, and now it leaves him under attack quite possibly here from Sasaki and Miyazono.
Maybe he's starting to feel that a bit now, because he would have went for that move a lap ago. He didn't go for that dive this time. I was saying to him, I think he's going to do it. He didn't quite do it there. And Kai de Bruyne did a good job of holding on here. Kai, of course, up for 5 places from his starting position. Koke plus 10.
The problem here for Sasaki and Miyazono is that now Kai de Bruyne's in front. If Lopez ends up being the cork in the bottle, so to speak, that allows de Bruyne to just clear off into the distance if Lopez starts holding them up as his tyres go off. Let's wait and see what happens.
This has got to be it now. Look how close they all are. First, second, third and fourth, de Bruyne, Lopez, Sasaki and Miyazono all across the line in quick succession. Here they are then, Koke Lopez much faster than the last lap now, has the overspeed, goes up into the lead. Last, the first challenge completed by Koke Lopez here at the Nations Cup Grand Final at Prague. Can he now hold on? Can he pull away from his pack? That is the thing now he needs to do. He's got a little bit of tyre life left. Not much, but I think if he can just extend a couple of laps, make a little bit of a gap, go onto the medium compound tyre and defend, he's pretty much repaired the damage he didn't qualify.
So what Lopez needs now is de Bruyne, Sasaki and Miyazono to start roughing each other up. But that moment there for Lopez has put him under pressure and under threat. You can see now de Bruyne is right in his wheel tracks. He pulls out of the slipstream as we head down into the hairpin bend, and de Bruyne is trying to get that buffer between himself and the other drivers who are on the same strategy. Sasaki biffs it into the back now. De Bruyne has to back out of the throttle. Lopez versus de Bruyne side by side. Lopez now back in front into the lead of the race there.
Looks like he spun the tyres or something. He just didn't get out of the corner. He just couldn't quite get that traction down. Ended up holding up Sasaki behind. De Bruyne now drops down to third place as Miyazono, of course, old hand around here, just sees the opportunity. I'll take that, thank you very much. And Koke Lopez opting to box then. Boxing for Koke Lopez at the end of lap 8. Will he go on to another set of softs, or will he go to a medium compounder tyre? Let's see.
Tell you who this has brought right back into the fray now here, Jimmy, as well, is Valerio Gallo, Angel Stroza and Androna Carrazza. They've closed right up, courtesy of the fact they've all been squabbling amongst one another. It's pulled them back into that gap. So the battle for the podium becomes almost a 5-way scrap. Medium tyres then for Lopez as he exits out of the pit lane. So he'll be a little bit slower, but of course those tyres will go on for a little bit longer. So he now drops behind Guy Barber, who, as we know, has been out of sequence courtesy of the crash and the contact that he had with Lopez a handful of laps ago.
But being behind Guy Barber now, if we can clear him, he's got a 5-second gap to drive into. He's got that fresh tyre, so she better drive into that, and this could keep in line Koke Lopez. He's going to be a contender later on in this race. Meanwhile, again, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th all in your frame right now as we dive down to the hairpin. Once again, Gallo leading in Stroza and Carrazza. Stroza looking for the long way around on Valerio Gallo. Can he make it work? No, not quite. Gallo just beats him to the exit there, but these guys are going at it like it's the last laps of the race.
We were side by side almost with Sasaki and de Bruyne just up in front of those two as well as we headed through the chicane. They've just managed to sort themselves out, but the thing is, if these guys keep squabbling amongst one another, it will pull them back again from that podium battle. And Stroza looks to the outside here of Valerio Gallo. Gallo's going to run him a little bit deep, possibly open the door here for Adriano Carrazza. No way through for there, but look at the top 3. They are now all in the same frame, and it's gone from being a 3-way battle, as I said earlier on, to a 7-way battle for the podium positions then. And these guys are all on the same strategy. De Bruyne pulls to the outside of Miyazono. Late on the brakes we go. Stroza looking for a move on Gallo. No way through there. Could leave him under threat once again from Adriano Carrazza. Miyazono and de Bruyne part 382 as we head down in towards this right-hander. Miyazono looks for the move on the inside defence. Here comes de Bruyne. Says thanks very much and goes up into second place. Bit of contact in hip and shoulder between Stroza and Gallo. Drops Gallo now down behind Adriano Carrazza as well.
What an amazing race so far. We have 8 cars right now squabbling for the lead, 10 laps into the grand final here at Prague. At the moment, Sasaki leads from de Bruyne and Miyazono, but these guys behind looking to make an impression. Ango and Stroza diving up the inside of Takuma Miyazono, makes a move. Stroza, who's been a bit anonymous, I say so far, now up into a podium position. Miyazono 4th, behind him is Gallo and Callum Roach. Carrazza there too, and Drummond. Look how close all these guys are, and we still have 22 laps to go for the lead. Kai de Bruyne up the inside, takes Suzuki, back into the lead goes the Dutch driver. It's action all the way so far.
This is a corker of a race, isn't it? As you said, JP. Out of the final corner we go then. De Bruyne leads from Takuma Sasaki. Innestrosa was about 6 tenths of a second adrift of them across the timing line, but it only takes a couple of corners and a couple of spicy moves between these two to bring them right back into play then. Into the chicane we go. De Bruyne is that leads. There's Innestrosa. Gallo with Miyazono very close behind. Let's not forget, a lap or so ago, Miyazono was in the lead of this race. He's now down into 5th position. Blink and you'll miss it stuff here in the Nations Cup Grand Final. Through the hairpin we go. I'd love to have another look at the tyre life actually for these drivers as well and see just how worn they are. If anybody's significantly more worn than others, because that could prove to be the difference. Or the thing is as well to think about, they're all running nose to tail. Is someone going to go for an undercut and try and play a bit of a blinder here, get themselves out in the clear air, and then hopefully the race will come from a bit later?
Interesting you say that, Tom. I'm looking at lap times right now. Coca Lopez, who boxed earlier on, did a 16.0 last lap. These guys are all doing high to mid 17s. So Coca Lopez, the fastest man on track right now, is down the field, but before long he'll be on the back of this massive pack of cars. So find me a series in the world where the racing is as close as this. Here comes Suzuki up the inside once again. Now I think they're getting to the point now where they're just letting it happen. De Bruyne pulls to the right. Innestrosa, I think, is pitting. Innestrosa pits.
Yeah,
first to blink.
Yeah, so he is the first blink. He's going to go for that undercut then. Where's he going to go in terms of his strategy? Does he go for mediums? Does he go for soft? Surely it'll be a soft strategy to the end of this one. You'll need another pit stop, and he does. Yeah, absolutely no surprise there at all for Angel Innestrosa. The crucial question is, where's he going to emerge? Is he going to be in clear air, or is he going to be in traffic? Comes out. Oh, it's not brilliant for him because he's got Drummond and Serrano right up in front of him, and they're involved in their own battle, in their own race.
The more that happened, Kai De Bruyne back to lead, and Valerio Gallo back up into third place. Kai De Bruyne there, sideways, gets the wheels lit up coming out of the hairpin. That allows Suzuki back onto the rear spoiler of the Netherlands flags draped X2019. Here's Takuma Miyazono having to lift the throttle. Look at the overrun he's got now. He's side by side with Valerio Gallo. They're all going for the move down here. Kai De Bruyne goes defensive into the right-hander. 3 wide then as we go through. Gallo on the inside there. 2x2. This is not going to end well, boys. They were out coming through to the chicane now. Who's going to blink first? Kai just about gets back into line again. This ain't going to end well.
This is fantastic, isn't it? So 2 Japanese drivers first and third at the moment, but for how long? Gallo there looking for the move. Miyazono also in the mix. 3 abreast we go once again down into the hairpin bend. So De Bruyne on the inside, Miyazono on the outside. Sasaki's there ready to go as well. De Bruyne comes into the pit lane as well as Adriano Carazza. So they're going to go and get themselves out of trouble and decide to let the other drivers squabble amongst themselves. Fair point, because it's going to cost them all time if they're knocking 7 bells on one another. And if they can get themselves into clear air once they've made their pit stops, it could prove to be beneficial. Just to correct myself earlier on, it's Lopez and Barbara that Innestrosa emerged from behind. So let's see where the other drivers are relative to Angel Innestrosa. So De Bruyne out of the pit lane and Carazza as well, and they are behind Angel Innestrosa. So that lap where these guys have all been fighting on each other, that's cost them track position.
How good's this been so far? This has been amazing, hasn't it? And we've still got fighting going on. Some people are pitted, but still 5 cars in contention there. You can see the tyre life of the cars remaining on circuit. Those rear tyres starting to become an issue for some drivers. Keep an eye out for Wilson, keep an eye out for the tail coming out throughout corners. Gallo now fighting with Miyazono. How many times have you said that in past events as we come to the chicane once more? Great drive so far from Callum Roach, the American driver. He's right in the mix there. Anyone, with about 8 drivers, 9 drivers, could win this race at the moment, I think.
Yeah, he's having a crack on his Callum Roach. This is brilliant for him, as you say. Robbie Heck also not doing too badly in 6th position. He's not quite involved in this leading group, but nonetheless still up inside the top 6 at the moment. If the checker flag fell now, he would score a point.
You know who's been the fastest man on track for the last few laps?
It'll be Coca Lopez.
Coca Lopez by quite a bit. So Coca Lopez, his race is coming back alive. Heck decides to box then for that a fresh set of tyres. Roach goes up into 4th place, overtaking Killian Jordan. Sorry, that's where he was before. Apologies. But Miyazono and Gallo, I think they're starting to think, right, okay, guys, we've got to really just focus a bit now. All this fighting, as you said before, all this changing of position, all this squabbling going to corners. It's great TV. We want to see more of it, but of course it does actually harm their races in the long run.
You've always done for Lopez as well now with the pit stop there for Robbie Heck, because that's given him from 5 seconds to now a 7-second buffer, which you can just go and clear off and drive his own race. This is working out really nicely here for Coca Lopez. Let's see how it works out later on in the race. We're getting towards the halfway stages of this one. Not quite there as it stands now. These guys have sort of quietened down a little bit now at the top.
Well, think, Coca Lopez is 7 seconds off these guys, and he's made a pit stop. These guys have not made a stop. That is the time he's made up. So I think maybe they've cottoned on to this. Okay, we're actually now at threat. What a story that would be, eh? Starting from the back of the field and working his way back up, just using those years of experience, those years of knowledge. That is why Coque Lopez, we can never count him out at these events. So on board with Killing Dumont. Will we see some more from the pit? We do. Gallo, Roach and Miyazono, or Sasaki opting to stay out though. Will this hurt him?
Let's see what happens then for Takuma Sasaki. He's the only outlier. Everybody else, as you said, into the box. Dumont also in as well. Lopez is now going to think Christmas has come early because he's going to have a nice, fresh, clear bit of track in front of him as the rest of the field comes barrelling on through. You can see what that's cost Takuma Miyazono as well. Now, where is Serrano? He's just sort of in the middle of this group at the moment. You can see him right on the back there of Valerio Gallo. So Miyazono with, 2.1 seconds to Adriano Carrazza. It's working out all right for them so far, but look at that there for Coque Lopez. The only problem he's going to face is this man here, Anthony Estrada, who's on a quicker compound of tyre.
Oh, contact between the two. Inestrosa wasting no time. There's more contact. Inestrosa in the wall. Tries to go around the outside. I don't really know what he was thinking there. There was never going to be a move on there for Angel Inestrosa. Just looked, and I don't know. I mean, from my point of view, there was no space for that move to happen.
It's always going to be a case of the unstoppable force of the immovable object in some cases for these drivers, isn't it? And unfortunately there for Angel Inestrosa, it's not worked out at all for him. He's now right at the back of the field. Again, it is good news though for Coque Lopez. I need to see a replay of that just to work out exactly what happened there. But as you say, Coque Lopez now clear off. Well, Takuma Sasaki's played over 6,000 hours of Gran Turismo. Good news for him. He's got 7 seconds of an advantage at the moment over Lopez.
Is that what 6,000 hours is worth? 7 seconds. Here's a replay then. What happened between Coque Lopez and Inestrosa? Now, from my view, Inestrosa tried to force a gap where there wasn't one. He's not quite alongside there. Coque Lopez goes through the corner, has a wiggle and touches him. I just don't know. I mean, you're putting yourself in a position where it's going to be very risky out there, Tom.
I think it's 61 half a dozen of the other, isn't it? Like you say, you're always a little bit at risk when you go on the outside of the corner. A moment like that, it's not Coque Lopez's fault. If you have a twitch on the rear, you have a twitch on the rear. There's nothing to do about it. If you're in the wrong place at the wrong time as the driver trying to overtake, it's unfortunate, but I don't think it's penalty worthy. We'll wait and see what the stewards decide. We haven't seen this under investigation, so they may just deem it as a racing incident. That will be my take on it, but we'll wait and see what they can see with all of their different camera angles.
I mean, I do hope not, because the Coque Lopez story is fantastic, and I do genuinely think it's just one of those things. But as you say, we'll wait for the stewards. They know better than we do, and we'll just rejoin the fight now. Sasaki, interestingly, staying out a bit longer now. By staying out, that gap to Coque Lopez is coming down. And the gap to Coque Lopez is the gap minus a pit stop. So once everyone's boxed once, guess who's going to be leading this race?
Yeah, but also guess who's going on the slower compound tyre at the end of this race. So I wonder how that's going to play out there for him.
I don't think he is. I think he's going to go long in the medium and go to the soft for the end.
Good point.
That's what I think he's going to do.
Good point. Yeah, that is a very interesting strategy call then for Coque Lopez. The problem he's got is tied to Bruno Adriano Carrazza. They're all there on the soft corner tyre, and they could really upset Coque Lopez's rhythm. Over the time line we go. We're over the halfway stage now of this race. The Butino surely have a lunch on the inside, and he does. Lopez deciding not to hold him up.
This is so clever. This is so clever. Lopez is just looking for race time right now. He knows these guys are going to be quicker. There's no point fighting. There's no point doing what they all did to each other at the start of the race, slow each other up. If a move's being made, he'll just let it happen and then just try and stay with him for as long as possible. Use that draft, because any moment he's in the draft, he's getting basically free speed. He's getting 3 kilometres an hour that he didn't get before. So right now you can see him closing up on the back of Kyle De Buren. I doubt very much he'll go for that overtake. We'll probably let Carrazza go for the move. There you go, he gets out of the way. So this is just 8,000 IQ driving from Coque Lopez. I'm really curious whether this is going to pay off.
Well, yeah, let those two, as I say, try to just go and biff it out amongst one another. The worst case scenario here for Coque Lopez is that Adriano Carrazza decides to back off the gas and slow up Lopez so that they can run their own race. Exactly. Or a mistake comes into play for Lopez, perhaps. But at the moment, he's driving absolutely perfectly, as you say. Sasaki is still lead. He's going long on this medium compound tyre. He's going to try and go to the soft compound as late as he possibly can to have as optimum tyre life. But the lap times between them, I mean, what's it, 1.5 seconds slower than the soft jobs of Bruno and Carrazza? Now they're hemorrhaging into that lead.
Yeah, it's really, they're really slowing down now. Sasaki needs to think about what he's doing. Carrazza here practices 6 hours a day. Did you know that? I didn't know that.
Practices what? It doesn't say.
Yeah, practices what? I think weightlifting. Have you seen the guy? He's massive.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. Anyway, Carrazza it is that sits in third place, and who we ride on board with him into the hairpin bend we go to bring them a little bit wide actually onto the curve on the outside. That's okay. Don't need to worry too much about it for now, but it could leave him under threat and we're heading to the next big braking zone.
Now Carrazza has got a little bit of reputation of being quite fighty, shall we say, in these GT World Series events. We're doing the same. Oh my word, guys, be careful going down to the tight right hand here. Kai de Bruin keeps the inside line. Look who's just hanging on in the background there on his solo compound tyre. Coco Lopez, just getting a free ride.
Saving a bit of fuel as well, not doing too bad.
Why not?
Yeah.
But now look behind.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got Miyazono, we've got Gallo, Serrano, Roche, Dumont, all closing on this lead group. I'm probably wondering, how did Coco Lopez get here? What's he doing here?
So high up, he's got a nosebleed. Karata lunges to the inside of Kai de Bruin and gets the move done into second place. De Bruin now decides to sit in his wheel tracks. Is he going to try and attack? The problem for Coco Lopez here is that, as you say, Jimmy, Miyazono, Gallo, Serrano, etc., they're all very close behind. And whilst these two are starting to fight amongst one another, that could bring them all back into contention.
And to give you an idea, I mean, tyre life does play into this too. Sasaki, on his own, with a 17.4 there. Coco Lopez on the medium tyre with a 16.0, being dragged along by these guys. This is outstanding from Coco Lopez so far. I cannot overstate that enough. We've still got a long way to go. A lot can happen, but to put yourself in this position from last is amazing.
Like I said, the only problem is these guys behind, because they could really upset his race and really upset his rhythm and his whole strategy. They could prove to be that one catalyst and the big headache that Coco Lopez might need a bit of paracetamol for later on in this race. Heading down into the hairpin, there we go. On board here with Takuma Miyazono, the shy retiring Japanese driver, a man of fairly modest words actually as a rule for Takuma Miyazono, but a very ferocious and tenacious racing driver.
Yeah, you couldn't meet a guy who's more different on track to how he is off track. As meanwhile, Coco Lopez again, he's just pulling out of the slipstream just to not pull onto the back of him. But now, as you say, Tom, he's got Takuma Miyazono right on his rear wing. Not only him, he's got Gallo, he's got Serrano, Roach is there too, on board now with Takuma Miyazono. I don't think we're going to see Lopez fight this too much, or will we? Going in to T1, now T2, the first big break of that, because Miyazono goes to the lunge, he does big lunge up the inside, and following him through goes Valerio Gallo, although he tries to, Gallo gets them walked out wide by Coco Lopez, and this is what we were talking about. Lopez can't really hang with these guys right now. There's Serrano there as well, but at the moment now struggling for speed is Lopez.
He needs to not fight it too much. The problem for these guys as well is look at Takuma Sasaki. That gap's shrunk down to 1 second. It's going to be half a second or so within the next few corners, because of course those medium tyres are going to be absolutely toast for Takuma Sasaki, and he's going to surely have to box before too long. So he's on a different strategy compared to the rest of them. Is he going to hold these guys up?
I think going for the one stop is very, very brave from Sasaki. I think if I was him now, I'd box now and take the risk, because we're going to lose so much time just being steamrolled by all these guys behind, because they're going to have so much more pace than he is at this point. And finish again. Oh, look at them all now. The conversion back on first position. The top 9 drivers separated by less than a second and a half at this point. It is so close.
De Bruin there, inside line for him against Adriano Karata. Sasaki's going to box. De Bruin is going to go in as well, so he wants another set of soft boots to end this race. Or is De Bruin actually going to go onto the medium component tyre? Let's wait and see what his race is going to look like.
I think it's soft. No, he goes to medium, so he's done medium, soft, medium.
Which is an interesting strategy for Kai de Bruin. Let's see whether that pays off, because he'll have a little bit more tyre life compared to the soft tyres at the end of this race. About 6 or 7 laps we saw for those soft tyres. So Sasaki's car will be crying in pain at the end of this race. De Bruin will have less one-lap pace, but also more tyre life towards the end of that one. Could this prove to be a good strategy for Kai de Bruin? We'll wait and see. What it has done is release that cork in the bottle for the rest of the drivers in front at the moment. Miyazono now with a half-second advantage over Serrano and Gallo.
If I was Lopez, I think I'd box now. Get into the box now and just go that soft tyre and try and undercut these guys and just fight at the end, because there's so much more you can do. Valerio Gallo, again, despite I think being in every position apart from first so far, is now back again in third, chasing Serrano and Miyazono. I mean, these top 4 drivers are just stalwarts of the GT World Series. Amazing to see them all together yet again. Will they go for a move down into the hairpin? No, they don't.
Tyre life here for the medium shot drivers here, Jimmy. They were about 12, 13, 14 laps. You can see Gallo there on the outside of Jose Serrano at the exit of the final corner and gets the move done up into second. About 13, 14 laps for those drivers. Coco Lopez, he's just done lap 13. So I imagine those medium tyres are not going to be feeling very handy underneath the Spaniard, and I'm sure he's going to have to come in and box for a set of fresh, soft boots at the end of this race, which will give him a pace advantage, but it will cost him track position.
Yeah, I think so too. But This has been an amazing race so far. Still 10 laps to go here in the grand final of the Round 2 of the Nations Cup here at Prague. We've had an amazing race so far. Still a third of it to go as Kai de Bruin gets a bit of a slap in the wrist for bump drafting. Don't do that, tell the stewards. This is okay, says Kai de Bruin. As we come in now to the bottom half of this course. Amazing downhill braking zone. Good place to remove the close enough Gallo. Not quite close enough to that right now.
Serrano, look at his tyres though. He was absolutely shot on the rear. He's done 2 laps longer than the likes of Gallo, than Miozono, etc. And his rears are going to be crying out in pain. I'm sure he's going to come into the pits at the end of this, or not the next lap. Otherwise, he's going to be a sitting duck. And the thing is, that then gives us a reference point for the other drivers who are on the soft compounded tyre towards the end of this one.
And we're still at a point where any of these drivers can win this race. It's so close. I mean, again, I've not seen a race this close in the Nations Cup for a very long time. Kylian Dumont, Serrano,
they're all boxing.
Mozart and Gallo, they all box. Roach does not. Interesting. Callum Roach opts to stay out there. The American driver may be knowing something that we don't. So this is now the last stop. This is the last roll of the dice. You're showing your hand now. You're showing your pace. It's now a straight fight to the end for victory here in the grand final. Here's Zono out the pit lane. There goes Kai de Bruin and Sasaki in front. So, Kai de Bruin, though, of course, on that medium compounded tyre, actually ahead of Sasaki on that soft. So, Kai de Bruin able to keep that pace up at the moment on the medium, but I don't think he's going to be able to compare to Miozono and Gallo. I don't think so at all.
No, the race will come to him at the end, as we said, but the problem is it leaves him a bit of a target on his back at the moment. So we'll see what happens here for Kai de Bruin. He sits in 4th place for now, but the 1 lap pace is just not going to be there for him.
So the longest we've seen the soft runner do is 10 laps, and that will be now 10 laps from the end. So this is perfect for Miozono, Gallo, etc. But for Kai de Bruin, is the pace going to be enough? We'll wait and see. Gallo then on board down to the chicane. P7 now after the pit stop, taking a slightly different line there from Miozono in front, a bit of a shorter line as we come through the chicane once again. What an amazing race. Look at that throttle input there. Not even a hint of a lift from the Italian driver. So much aerodynamic grip in these Red Bull X 2019 cars, coupled with that awesome engine. Lots of power, lots of grip. Can't think of a better combination.
Top 2 in the pit lane then. So Roach and also crucially Coque Lopez into the box. So soft tyres for both of those drivers. Guy Barbara also going into the box as well. Lopez and Carazza under investigation for a collision. We didn't see exactly what happened there, I don't think, but we'll keep an eye out and see whether there are any penalties being handed out. Sasaki versus Miozono, side by side we go into the chicane. Miozono with the inside line. Gallo's going to try and pick Sasaki's pocket here as well, as he's run to the curb on the outside. 3 abreast as we come down into the right-hander. Bit of hip and shoulder there between Miozono and Sasaki, who gets again run out onto the curb. Does that present the opportunity that Serrano's looking for? No, not quite for now. So De Bruin it is that leads the way, and at the moment he's the train, or the leader of the train I should say, but is it going to be derailed? Because Gallo, Miozono, Sasaki all on a very quick combat of tyre, and it's a matter of when and not if. Here we go, Gallo side by side with him, down the back straight. He's going to have more traction under braking, more grip under braking. Miozono's going to lunge to the inside. That's going to upset Gallo's opportunity and relegates him down into 3rd place. Miozono's through on the inside. Serrano's going to try and join in on the action there as well. De Bruin's going to get really hung out to dry here, quite potentially, but no, manages to gather it all up as we come down this back straight through the tunnel. Side by side we go, De Bruin versus Miozono. Gallo's there ready on the inside as well as Jose Serrano. Miozono lunges finally for the race lead. De Bruin relegated down into 2nd. Side by side we are with Serrano versus Drummond for 4th position there as well. And we come across the timeline. De Bruin tries to take the lead away from once again into the braking zone. Who's going to have track position? De Bruin lunges to the inside. Serrano coming through on the inside as well.
Alright, so on here in the final mile. Quick, and in that, Kai de Bruin still holding on that medium tyre for P3, but Gallo and Miozono, it's a 5th fight between these two now. Both want to lead, both want to try and put a gap in front. Behind there, Serrano goes through from De Bruin. De Bruin forces his way up the inside, past everyone, up into 1st place. I think that was clean as well. Somehow got the car stopped and is still there fighting with the guys in the soft tyres, and he has to do that. He has to, because he's on that medium compounded tyre. He needs to slow up these guys as much as possible, and they're still squabbling. Kai de Bruin, Serrano looking to the outside, looking all the way around the outside. Can he make that stick? He does. Serrano, what a move all the way around Kai de Bruin, and it's still going on, John.
Look who's at the back of the train. Coque Lopez, fresh and soft compounded tyres right at the end of this race. It's going to set him up an absolute treat. Side by side we go, 3 wide. Once again, Serrano on the inside, Gallo in the middle, De Bruin on the outside. He won't have as much grip, but lunges his way through as Gallo runs it wide. On the exit of the curb goes De Bruin. Goodness me, this is absolutely amazing racing. Serrano's got the inside line. De Bruyne's on the outside then as they go through this right-hander. He's going to get roughed up onto the curb, is the Dutchman here, and that may allow Gallo to come through. Down the hill we go, through the left-hander. 2x2 through here is risky, as we know. Gallo decides discretion's the better part of valour and slots himself back through into third place. Keep an eye out for Drumont and Miyazono in the background as well. De Bruyne is driving an absolute worldie at the moment. Down into the braking zone we go, 4 abreast as we head through. Serrano's on the inside, he's through into the lead. Gallo's into second, Drumont now through into third, with Miyazono in fourth and De Bruyne relegated down into fifth place. But look who's up into sixth position, Coque Lopez. Fresh soft tyres, he is in a prime position to win this race.
Oh, something's got to give at some point, Tom. These guys are going at it like it's the last lap. There are still 6 laps to go. Serrano inside, Gallo in the middle, Drumont trying to now make his way around the outside. The Frenchman now starting to move up towards the front of the grid. Coque Lopez is in P4 on that soft tyre from the back of the grid. And now we go on to lap 27. There is barely a second covering all these cars on screen right now. They're 2-3 wide into the first chicane. Drumont is second. Gallo, there's contact. Serrano's off into the barrier. We said something have to give there. I think that was contact between Drumont in the barrier. That's Suzuki and Miyazono.
Yeah,
oh my word!
The 2 Japanese drivers have come to blows. Oh, there's Serrano doing a 52-point turn to get himself facing the right way. Karatta's going to come through. It was always going to kick off, wasn't it? It couldn't continue like that. It's just not sustainable racing in that sort of direction. And now it's gone from a 7-way scrap down to a 3-way scrap. And here's Lopez now on the back of Valerio Gallo for second position. He's going to have more grip under braking. Does he make it into the hairpin? Not quite for now, but he's there, ready to pounce.
We keep saying that Lopez started from the back of the grid. Drumont started 10th. Here's the replay. Let's try and unpack what happened here, because a lot went on very quickly. So here's Serrano. Drumont on the outside here, turns into the corner. There is contact there, but it's not. And then more again from Kai De Bruyne. That was a difficult one now. I don't know. I mean, Drumont definitely drove into the back of Serrano, but could you wager it was a bit of a weird line from Serrano?
Well, it's under investigation. Let's see what the stewards team. Let's see the big losers in that, Callum Roach, and also, to a point, Kai De Bruyne as well. He got duffed up in the action there as well. So what are we now? 4 laps to go. Drumont, Gallo, Lopez for the win. Just a reminder, Drumont hasn't scored in the Nations Cup up until this point, and he threw the victory away a few weeks ago in Montreal.
So grid position, Drumont +9. Gallo, where he started, Coque Lopez +9. Robbie Heck +7. This has been an amazing strategic race from the top 4 runners. Can Coque Lopez do something that has never happened here in the Nations Cup? Can Coque Lopez go from last to first and take the win here at Prague in the grand final? Still a few laps left to decide this. Gallo, I think Gallo's someone who's been the bridesmaid very often in these events, never the bride, so to speak. So can he change that here today? Through the chicane one more time. The pressure will be a little bit off now for these guys, because a lot of the train has unfortunately derailed, so to speak. But now it's Drumont, Gallo and Lopez. Any one of these drivers can win this race. All of these drivers know how to win a race. It's going to be an insane finish, and only a few laps to go here at Dragon Trail.
Well, who is going to be able to soak up the pressure like a sponge, and who is going to end up looking a bit of a damn squib? Let's see what happens. Over the timing line we go. 3 to go then. Coque Lopez will ride on board with the Spaniard, looking calm, controlled and cool as it stands. There is Valerio Gallo and Kylian Drumont as we head through the chicane. Just biding his time now. It's Coque Lopez trying not to make too many mistakes. This guy Barbara just moves ahead of Kai De Bruyne for 5th position. That medium tyre has not worked out for De Bruyne in the latter stage of this one. Of course, not aided by the incident we saw with Serrano and Drumont a couple of laps ago.
It worked until it didn't, I think, is the way it's saying. I think he could have really been a good contender at the end of this race, but I mean, it just took the slightest of it. These guys were racing so close. It's almost like watching stock car racing, except around a circuit with cars with a ton of air on. But the racing's still underway. Now, I get the impression that Gallo and Lopez are just sort of waiting out. Neither of them want to lead to the last lap.
No further action between Serrano and Drumont. Racing incident. We're calling it all right today, because we've got the lottery numbers for next week.
I mean, sometimes you've got to be right. I mean, it's once in a millennium, but I'll take it.
So Gallo there sits behind Drumont. He's right on the line through there. You can see Lopez just not wanting to sit in the slipstream. As you said, Jimmy, he's biding his time. He's put pounds too early, because let's be fair, it's like a game of poker, this one. You don't show your hand quite too soon until you know that the other competitors are ready to try and show theirs.
You want to take a guess who has the best tyres, actually?
I would wager a guess that it's Coque Lopez.
It is Coque Lopez.
He was the last to pit, wasn't he, of course?
This is just experience. This is what experience looks like. And we say here in the Gran Turismo World Series that speed will only get you so far. Experience pushes you over the top. So we have 2 laps left to run. Well, at the end of this one anyway. Drumont at the front, Gallo second, Lopez third, covered by only 6/10 of a second. Robbie Heck, though, on for a good result in P4, kind of brewing and recovering. Guy Barbara, after his incident at the start of the race, is up to P6. Miyazono also trying to come back through the field. Now these guys are the closest they've ever been. Will Gallo go from up the inside? Is this him making his move? Gallo up into the lead, past Kylian Drumont. Maybe now this is it. This is the breakaway. Valerio Gallo is stating his intent. He wants to win this race. Off he goes out front. Drumont now is second. Lopez will have seen this. Will we now see a reaction?
Look at the tyres there. 10% more on the rears for Coque Lopez. Doesn't sound like a lot. It's going to make a massive difference in the closing stage of this one. Drumont, interestingly, got the worst tyres compared to all of these top 3. Miyazono gets the better of Guy Barbara. That's crucial because that's a point on the board in the World Series standings. Top 6 scoring points in this one, just to remind you. Across the timing line we go. Penultimate lap then, we begin here, and Drumont goes defensive. Lopez going for that sweeping line around the outside. Does he lunge through into the chicane? Not for now.
He needs to. I think this is getting towards the point now where it's time to make your moves, time to show your hand to the drivers around you. Coque Lopez did that to avoid the slipstream, so he could keep it flat and just keep it going from there. Here comes Gallo, here comes Drumont, here comes Lopez. What a race this has been so far. We are rapidly reaching the conclusion of the Nations Cup Grand Final here at Prague, and here are your contenders. We have Valerio Gallo, Kylian Drumont and Coque Lopez. 3 names you'll be familiar with if you watch these live events often. As we go down now again to the best overtaking spot on the course, Drumont goes round the outside. Can he make it work? I'm not sure. Gallo defending, will have the run round. Drumont will have the speed. Here comes Coque Lopez too. Gallo just about keeping the lead, and Lopez goes up by through past Drumont. So it's Gallo, Lopez, Drumont now as we come round to start the final lap of this race.
Well, we've been watching the pot for the last 5 or 6 laps, and it's now starting to finally boil as we ride on board. Drumont there in 3rd position. Lopez and Gallo up at the sharp end of this one. Former champions in the top 2 positions. Let's remind you as we begin the final lap of racing here in Prague for World Series in Gran Turismo in the Nations Cup. Down the start-finish straight we go, through the fast right-handed kink of turn 1, into the braking zone of turn 2. Lopez has a half look on Gallo, but no room at the end.
Yeah, no way he's going to let that happen. So now it's really one more overtaking opportunity, maybe 2 more for this lap, and Coque Lopez needs to set that up if he wants to win this race. Drumont there, just biding his time behind, I think. Gallo leads then as we come through the end of the first sector, down through this snaking section. This is where you get a bit of a draft. This is where you try and set up the move down the hill. Now will Gallo try and back Lopez up into this downhill right-hander? Through the stake we go then. Lopez deep in the draft, gaining on Gallo in front. Looks to the inside. Gallo going defensive straight away, trying to break that toe. Very experienced driving the both of them. Will he have a move down here into the bottom? He does not know. So it's all now down to 1 corner, Tom.
Yeah, the chicane is going to be the decider for this one. Who's going to be more committed? Will we see any mistakes coming through? Bit of a slip and a slide there for Valerio Gallo. Through the chicane we go. Nose to tail action between the top 3. Any one of them could win this one. Nice and easy for them all so far. Surely Lopez is going to have a lunge. Gallo goes defensive. Side by side we go for the race victory into the final corner. Here comes Drumont back through on the inside of Coque Lopez, sliding his way through, and contact as Lopez gets spun round by Kylian Drumont. Gallo wins the Nations Cup Grand Final here in Prague from Kylian Drumont, and Coque Lopez in 3rd ahead of Robbie Heck and Kai de Bruyne. What a final couple of corners, and it was always going to be a watch pot that we had to boil, and unfortunately it boiled over for Coque Lopez.
Look how much that means to Valerio Gallo. He's been trying to win a Nations Cup event here for so long. Finally takes a victory. Coque Lopez just holding on for P3 there. Look how much that means to Valerio Gallo. You love to see that. That's how much dedication goes into the events, how much pressure these drivers feel when you cross the line, and finally it's unleashed. What a race. Best race you've seen, I think, ever in the Gran Turismo World Series.
Amazing job from Valerio Gallo, from Kylian Drumont and for Coque Lopez, and you can see the outpouring of emotion there for Valerio Gallo. It hasn't been a particularly easy couple of seasons. He won the Nations Cup back in 2021, if you remember, and it's been a bit of a lean period since then. He's been there and thereabouts, but he's suffered a lot of misfortune along the way. He's been practicing day and night, hours and hours of practice to get himself up to this point, and finally he is able to reap the rewards of that.